course, you're listening to Metal Euphoria on SonicAsylumRadio.com, and I am so psyched to welcome to my show today award-winning vocalist and songwriter Jim Crean. Welcome, Jim. How are you?
Hey, Vicki. How are you again?
Good. Yes. So if you guys can hear us, that's awesome. If you can't, hopefully they are refreshing their players. However, they're tuned in today. But everything is looking good. So that's awesome. So yes, I'm very excited to have you on the show today, Jim. You have had quite a brilliant and amazing career for over 3 decades. And we're definitely going to touch a lot on, when you first started and how, you became to be the vocalist that you are today. And your solo releases and the work that you've done over the years with so many legendary and iconic musicians. Lately, your latest release, Insatiable, I kind of want to start there with your new album. And we're going to touch a little bit on it, like, how you got the recording and the process, because there are so many amazing musicians that joined you on this record. So if you want to go into a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's great. I'm very proud of that album. It's on Carmen Pieces label called Rocker Records, and there's a lot of great players on there, well-known artists like my buddy Phil Lewis from LA Guns. He's on there. We actually do an LA Guns song called Over the Edge off the Hollywood Vampire album.
Yes, that's a great track on the album.
He does harmonies and background vocals. And then I got one of my favorite guys in the world, Mike Tramp, from White Lion, just a great guy and a really good friend of mine. We redid a Freak of Nature song called I Can't Find My Way, and me and Mike sang in duet style. So he's on there. Of course, Vinny Appice's on there. Carmen Peace is on there. Tony Franklin from The Firm. One of my biggest influences is Frank Domino. He's on there. The list keeps going. The late great Jimmy Bain, which turned out to be his last from Rainbow and Dio, his last recording he ever did. So.
Wow. Yes, that's pretty incredible. That was really the last recording was doing the remake of Caught in the Middle. That's an extremely special song on that album.
Yeah, it was a really cool story how that came about. We had one more song to do, for Europe, because the European fan base they like having an extra bonus track. So you always have to do a bonus track when you do those European releases in Japan. And so we were trying to figure out what song we should do, and Vinny kind of gave me an idea. We were out on tour. We were in Hollywood in the rehearsals, and Vinny said to me, "Well, I sing really Dio-esque, I'm really influenced by Ronnie." And he said, "Why don't we do a Dio song?" And Caught in the Middle was always one of my favorite songs. That's a Holy Diver album. That really wasn't really a known song unless you were, a big fan. And so I thought that would be a great song to redo. And it just so happened to be when me and Vinny were talking, Jimmy was at a rehearsal, Jimmy Bain. So it was really cool. He was hanging out. And so we went to Vegas the next night to do the show, and we decided to Vinny called Jimmy and asked him if he'd be willing to, play on it, and he agreed to. And at the show, one of my biggest influences is Frank Domino from the band Angel, just a phenomenal singer. He was at the show, and we brought him up on stage, and he did a couple songs with us, and it was just a magical experience. And then afterwards, I just asked him, I said, I'm just throwing it out there, would you be willing to sing on my album in some, facility? And he said, of course, so that's just a stand-up guy he is. And that was the song that he ended up singing on with me. It was really cool that put all those guys together.
Oh yeah, another stellar track on the Insatiable album, and that's great. And Frank Domino and Punky Meadows are recently doing a lot of shows, reuniting from Angel. I know they just played the Chance recently. I think they did a show down in the city. So that's very cool.
Yeah, and Frank's just he's one of those guys where he's very humble and very grounded, and for who he is and what he did with his career. I mean, let's face it, in the 70s, Angel and Kiss were two of the top bands.
Yes.
meet guys that influenced you when you're younger, when you're coming through the ranks, and you meet these guys, you hope that they're going to be good people and nice guys,
Right,
and
right.
some are not, believe it or not. Some people you meet, it changes your whole opinion on them, and then when you meet them, and you realize, oh, they're not very nice people, right? And Frank just elevated that to the next level, because when I met him, he was just such a sweet, great guy that it just made you even respect him even more. So I'm glad that him and Punky are doing stuff out there, and he's getting a little bit of success that way. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Kiss, and that is actually, you redid a Kiss song for this album as one of the bonus tracks, Magic Touch.
Yeah. The way that came about, it's a funny story. It's so funny because I do a lot of these interviews, and they ask me, well, why did you choose that song? Why did you choose this song? It's nothing like that really happened where it was like a subconscious thing. These things just all kind of happened. The Kiss thing, what happened was there's a really known rock journalist, Mitch LaFon, and he put together this Kiss tribute. And he called upon all the guys like Don Dokken and the guys from LA Guns and all my buddies throughout the years, and he asked me to do a song on it. So we decided to do Magic Touch. So I always thought that was a cool song off the Dynasty album that really never had its due, So when I did that, I asked Vinny Appice to play drums on it, and my producer Steve Major, and so we did that song, and it came out really good, and he did a really great job selling the CD. It's a double CD for it's called A World with Heroes, Kiss tribute. You can find it. Anyways, it came out so good that I decided, we needed a couple bonus tracks, and that would be a perfect song to just put on this. So, and I'm really happy I did, because a lot of the fans really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, absolutely. And how much fun was it to put together this entire album with all these different, musicians involved? That must have been a blast.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the way it started, when I got the record deal through Carmine, initially just started off, I had a bunch of demos that I put together, and Carmine, we were out on the road, and I just started playing him some songs. He goes, well, I'd like to sign you if you're interested. And at the time I was shopping around for a label, and it just was a perfect idea for me to sign this rocker. And when that happened, I had all these songs already written, so it was a matter of just recording them. And then I just kind of reached out to all my friends throughout the years in the business, and they all were just really responsive and saying, absolutely, whatever you need me to do. So I thought that was really cool, that these guys were, just really came to my side and played on the record. So it was a lot of fun making it. There's guys like Roland Robertson from Dio on there. One of my favorite guitar players, Robbie Lochner from Jack Russell's Great White, he's on there. A guy named Dave Costantino from a band called Talus, he's on there, he's great. And my fiance Colleen Messer-Cole was on there from a Hair Nation band.
Yeah, she plays drums, right, on one of the tracks.
Musicians on this record that, I'm just really proud of it.
Oh, as you should be, Jim. It really is an incredible release. And it's, like I said, so much fun, so much talent thrown into one album. I mean, just looking at you, you've been a recording touring musician for over three decades. You've fronted a lot of regional and national recording artists. You've won a lot of awards going back to 2013, 2014, and 2015. Best Original Male Vocalist. In 2016, you were inducted into the Nightlife Hall of Fame Lifetime Achievement Award. I mean, that's incredible. So to have this album come out at this point in your career, I mean, what a great testament, to who you are as a musician and as a person,
Well, I appreciate you recognizing that, and I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's always great to be recognized by your peers, and it's always great to be, get accolades like that. I mean, that's always a great experience. But and if I didn't have all those, it would still be the same situation. I just love playing music, and I love to do what I do, and if people are receptive to that, that makes it even more enjoyable.
Exactly. That's the whole. Getting down to the depth of it is you're a musician through and through. It's your passion. It's what you love to do. And that comes out in your recordings. Absolutely. And the music community, the metal hard rock community coming together, it's one of the best communities out there. There's nothing like being a part of the community that we are. It truly is a special thing among any other music genres that are out there. Hands down.
Well, there's not a lot of it left out there, and the ones that are out there still doing it, in all honesty, I respect all of them because it's a tough business.
It is.
It's not a business that you can do. I mean, at the national level, I'm talking. It's a tough business because there's not a lot of work, and the work you get, you got to just embrace it. It's funny because I tour the world with Crean and Vinny, and these guys are guys who play sold out shows at Madison Square Gardens and Wembley Stadium and things like that. And then we'll be doing 1,000-seat arena theater. So it's got to be humbling for those guys. And but that's just how the business is nowadays. You can be playing a small club, and then one night, when we do like these runs, we have like maybe a club that we'll play, and then like the next night we're playing a 4,000-seat arena. It's bizarre.
Right, I can imagine.
That's how it works. So to be able to do this is just a great experience and just a great feeling that it's still alive.
Oh, it absolutely is, without a doubt. And how awesome that you've got to tour the world, as you said. What's your favorite country that you've played in?
Well, the United States.
The U.S. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's when you accept it in your own country, that's the best experience because that's what you strive to do. But the European countries are. Let me tell you, they're very passionate about music. The albums sell much better in Europe. Insatiable did really well in Europe and in Japan. And then the Peace album's just been on fire. We've been selling and making top. We made the Billboard top 100 album, and that's Billboard in Europe.
Oh yeah, Sinister is a kick-ass release. Absolutely, love that album.
Number 40 on the Billboard top 100 albums of 2017. I mean, that's unheard of in this day and age. But yet, people buy in Europe and Japan. They buy hard rock, heavy metal albums still, and that's awesome. That's still happening. I mean, it's not happening here in the States. That's for sure. People just download the music, and it's so funny now with this download and streaming, because people just kind of download the song. They can pick and choose the songs they like. Where in Europe they buy the actual product, the hard copy. So they're kind of stuck in a weird way with all the songs, and that's how you become, a recording artist. Because in Europe and Japan, and in markets like that, in European markets, they'll buy everything. So if you have a DVD, a CD, a vinyl, download cards, they'll buy it all, and that's pretty cool because. That's how you get your product out there, and then they find tracks on the record that they normally wouldn't have listened to.
Right, exactly.
One time on the radio, and our title track to the album Sinister has been all over in Europe and Japan on radio stations. We actually have that album re-released on a Japanese label.
Oh, did you? Oh, wow. Yeah, we've been supporting Sinister here at Sonic Asylum Radio for sure. It's a fantastic release, and the first collaboration from the brothers. That I guess maybe I'll just call the album APPICE.
That's your safest bet because if you're talking to Zen, it's Apathy. If you're talking to Carm, it's Peace. So just call it APPICE, and your best bet is. That's your best bet.
Exactly. And it's funny, when I had Vinny the first time on my show back in October, I finally had that age-old question answered, why they pronounce their last names differently. And I said, it's really just, perplexed me since the 80s, so...
Yeah.
I was glad to finally get that cleared up,
What was the answer he gave you?
Well, basically, their father said Apathy. So Vinny always went with Vinny Appice. But then a piece came, I believe it was Rod Stewart, introduce Carmine? Is Carmine a piece?
Yeah, you do know the story.
Yeah.
What happened was Rod said to Carmine, he said, well, what am I calling you? Atmosphere, a piece? And he goes, well, what do you want to call me? What's easier? He goes, a piece. He goes, well, there it is. It's a piece.
Yeah.
And that's where Carmine just started going with it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun that they have that going. You know, honestly, it's kind of a neat topic of discussion when we're, live in concerts, because we do a whole little story about it. It's kind of cool. So. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a lot of fun. So that was very cool getting that age-old question answered for me.
Yeah, it's puzzling, believe me. When they ask me, well, what do you call them? What do you call it? I said, well, when I'm hanging out with Zen, we'll call it Apathy. When I'm hanging out with Carmine, we'll call it Peace. And when I'm with both of them, I call them Sir.
That's great.
Right? That's the safe answer.
Exactly. That's so funny.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a good show. I mean, we just, like we were talking off air, we just did a show at the Cutting Room a couple weeks back, and you said you were going to come out to that one.
Yeah, I was so unfortunate I wasn't able to make it to that show. My friend Howie was there, though.
Good.
He said it was great turnout.
Yeah, sold out, and good show, and a lot of fun.
And the Cutting Room's a great venue, from what I understand.
Songs up the new album, which is nice. That's exciting to me because we write these songs. We spend all this time putting these songs together, and then when we do the tours, it's a history. Here's the thing: it's a history of not just a drum battle type thing that everybody thinks it is. Because we used to be called Drum Wars,
right?
And the misconception was all we did. These two guys go out there and they beat each other up on the drums, and then and when people go, well, what do you do in the band? I said, well, I'm the singer. I mean, we do the whole catalog. They go, oh, we thought it was just a drum clinic. It's not. It's a catalog of their history. So we do Rod Stewart, Blue Murder, tons of Dio, tons of Sabbath, Ozzy. We do everything that they're involved in. And it turns into be a really cool show. And people, once you see it once, everybody loves it. And then they're always going, I'm definitely coming to see you again. So that's the type of show it is. It's but anyways, with this tour, it's cool because we're calling it the Sinister Tour. So we're getting to do a lot of originals on top of the catalog that that they've developed. But we get to put some of our own stuff in there, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's so much fun. I can imagine the vibes coming from the stage when you guys get together and get to do all those different bands and all those songs and that's really awesome because the crowds would love that, and to be there live. Howie said that the vibe in the room was really cool. Everybody was having a great time. Just a great way to spend a Sunday. It was an afternoon show, which was a little different. I've never been to the Cutting Room before, but it looks like it's a great venue. The way it's decorated and just the feel of it,
Very cool room. Initially, we did a run about 3 months prior to that one. We did a run where we did, we did Long Island, Pennsylvania. We did like 5 shows, and the Cutting Room was on that run, and the show got canceled. So that was a makeup show. So we decided, well, the only time we could really fit into our schedules was do an afternoon show. Which was kind of bizarre at first when we had it booked as an afternoon show. We were all just kind of like, well, I don't know how this can go. And it turned out to be the smartest thing ever. I think a lot of people, they're older. We got an older fan base, obviously, they would rather prefer to go to an afternoon show. I mean, the show we went on stage by like 2:30 in the afternoon.
True.
And it was awesome. It was sold out. And I said to Carmine, I think this might be the answer for this project. It's kind of a great idea because a lot of people don't like to go to a 10 o'clock show and get home at 1 in the morning. I mean, it was great. The show was done. Everything was. We did a long meet and greet. I mean, we did almost a 2-hour meet and greet.
Wow.
Which was 2 hours.
That's incredible.
Table, signing autographs, doing pictures, and normally we don't get to do a long meet and greet like that because if we do a later show, so hypothetically we do a 10 o'clock show. We're done by midnight. We'll do a meet and greet for like 45 minutes, right? Because it's getting late, and then we have to city, or we have to get to the hotels or on the tour bus, whatever we end up doing.
Exactly, and the venues want, the place cleared out as well.
And right, exactly. Security and all that, so they push the people right through, the meet and greet line. Well, this was so great. I mean, we had time on our hands, so we were able to just do a long meet and greet. And that's kind of unheard of in this business, and the fans really were receptive to that. They really got to hang out with Vicki and Carmine, get the pictures, and really tell stories and hear stories. And so it was really a great concept. I really urge a lot of national bands to do it that way, do an afternoon show, and give the fans back a good meet and greet. That's a good thing about Vicki and Carmine. They're very humble guys, and they're very down-to-earth guys where they give that nice long meet and greet. They don't come in with their egos and
not at all.
And try and act like they're better than the fans. They really go right with it.
Yeah, they're extremely down to earth. Yeah, and that's a great idea.
It should be. I mean, you see some of these guys that come out and you got these bodyguards standing with them, and they don't. They're not really personable to the fans, and it's. I never understood that. And it's just not how I am. I will take the time to. Vinny always tells stories about Ronnie. How they would get done with the show, and Ronnie would be like 2 hours in the parking lot signing autographs by the tour bus. These guys would go on the bus, the rest of the band would go on the bus and they'd go to sleep and take naps and whatever. And Ronnie would be on the parking lot hanging out with the fans for 2 hours.
That's great.
After every show.
Wow.
Every show. It would be just to the point where until the very last fan is standing in the parking lot, Ronnie wouldn't, break away from that until everybody got an autograph, everybody got a picture.
That's very Ronnie was an amazing person.
And that just made me respect him as well. Not that I didn't have the most respect for him in the world. I mean, in my opinion, the best singer that ever played rock and roll. But that just put him up even to, superstar status, hearing that.
Oh, absolutely. That makes me smile because, I'm a huge Ronnie James Dio fan. There's not a day that goes by where I don't miss him. So that makes me feel good to hear that he was so, I knew he loved his fans and, was very humble about it. Kind of similar how Judas Priest has always been over the years, that they've always recognized their fans and have never wavered from that in any way, shape, or form. And I think doing these, afternoon shows, when you look at it the way you just explained it, that is a great idea because you get to put on this great show in the afternoon. People are, still enjoying themselves. And you get this long meet and greet where you can take the time and talk to people maybe more than just 30 seconds, and then like you said, we're a little bit older now. So you still have your evening, especially if it's a Sunday night. People have to go back to work in the morning or whatever have you. And, so that's a great idea. It makes for a nice afternoon. Go out and see some amazing music and, meet the amazing musicians behind the music and just hang out, have a great day,
From a financial standpoint as well, because nowadays you have to sell merch.
Right.
Merch is very important. It's a very big part of being in a national level band because you have to have good merch sales because you're just not making the kind of money that you used to make even 10 years ago. A big band like the Peace Brothers, there's a big budget involved in that. You have 2 big drum sets. We have a full crew that we bring out, a tour manager. All our salaries. I mean, it gets very tedious and expensive.
Sure.
So to have a strong merch table is really what offsets that. And by doing something like that, although that wasn't our goal, mind you, but by doing something like that, I mean, pretty much every piece of merch is moved from the table, and that's if bands are looking to do those type of things, it makes complete sense to do that. We sold out our vinyl. We had I think 40 vinyls. We sold those out within 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, and you figure $25 a pop. So you do the math. I mean, it's just one of those situations where, from a financial aspect, it's a great thing. So bands that are older bands. I'm talking older bands. This wasn't It's a great idea. I mean, in all honesty, when we went on stage at 2 o'clock, the room's nice and dark. You feel like the vibes there, like it's it's like it's a 11 o'clock at night. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. And it is so important when you're at these shows to visit the merch tables. That's one of my favorite things to do when I go to shows. I want to see what they have. I want to get the CD if I don't have it. I want to get the cozy. I want to get the buttons. Whatever it is, the T-shirt.
You want to get the autograph on all that stuff.
Well, sure, absolutely. You want to come home with stuff. It's so much fun to come home with stuff from shows. So yeah, one of my favorite things, and it is so important for the bands, and it should be just as equally important for the showgoers, because you get to come home with some cool stuff. So it's a good win-win all the way around, I think. For sure.
I agree. And you get the stuff autographed, you get to meet the guy, you get the band members, you get the pictures. It's just a really cool, good, strategy. And like I said, I thought that was the coolest thing, doing the afternoon show like that,
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Well, what I would like to do now is play some music from the Insatiable album for everybody, so the listeners can get an idea of what this album is about. And I want to start it off with the intro. And if you want to say how you got to do this intro with him, go into a little bit with that.
Don Jameson from that metal show, good friend of mine. He's a great comedian, hilarious. And he does like a rock and roll comedy.
He is. He's a huge fan. Huge fan.
And I became buddies with him, while on tour with the Hookers and Blow project, and Dizzy Reed, and
oh right, yes,
yeah, and numbers from Quiet Riot and whatnot. So me and Don became good buddies, and so I was going to have him do the liner notes for the record. And then me and him got to talking on the phone, and I said, Don, it would be kind of cool if you do like an intro. He goes, what do you want me to do? So. He came up with the intro, and then we put music behind it, and it's really kind of came out really cool. It's different. It's something that you wouldn't expect, and that was really cool of Don to do that for me.
Exactly.
Really class act, so.
And then it goes right into the title track, Insatiable, which is a great track. You were mentioning Robbie Lochner before from Jack Russell's Great White, and Rob Halford's Fight. He's on lead guitar, Vinny Appice on drums. So very, very cool. And I want to play another song from Insatiable, but I'll let you choose the track. What should be the second track we'll play for everybody right now?
Well, it wouldn't be a bad idea. Well, this Can't Find My Way with Me and My Tramp, or you could do the Caught in the Middle that we were talking about.
Okay.
That's a really cool track.
Well, we can definitely do both during the interview, but let's see. How about if we do Caught in the Middle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
All right, great. All right, everybody, we are hanging out live today with Jim Crean, and we are going to play a couple of tracks from his latest solo release called Insatiable. We're going to play the title track, Insatiable, and Caught in the Middle. And we will be back on Metal Euphoria, Sonic Asylum Radio.com, the best underground music on the planet, period. All right, you are locked into Sonic Asylum Radio.com. This is Metal Euphoria, and I'm Metal Maiden Vicki, and we are live today with award-winning vocalist and songwriter Jim Crean, and we just played a couple of tracks from his latest solo release called Insatiable. And the first track, first we heard the intro with Don Jameson from that metal show, which was very cool. And then you heard the title track, Insatiable. And then we heard Caught in the Middle, which is just a very special song, amazing version of the Dio classic Caught in the Middle from the Holy Diver album. And it was a duet with Jim and Frank Domino from Angel. Vinny Appice on drums, and of course the late great Jimmy Bain on bass. Just a really, really special track, Jim.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. Jimmy just was a gentle giant, and he's just a great guy, and it's awesome that I got him on the record, but it's very, very, I never got to hear the final mix of it. You know, right before he left, you and I were talking off here how Vinny was telling the story about what happened on the cruise.
Yes.
Well, right before he left for the cruise, you know, we were in the mastering stage, mixing mastering stages of that song, and he sent me an email and asked me, you know, hey, make sure you send it to me before you finally, you know, master it. So I want to hear it, and that was the plan. I said absolutely. So, and yeah, we just never got, you know, obviously didn't get back from the cruise, and just never got to hear it. So.
Oh wow, you know.
So it's disheartening, but it came out great, and I think he would have been very happy and proud of it.
Oh, he absolutely would have.
Because it was the real rhythm section of Vinny and Jimmy, and it kicked ass for sure.
It's magical, you know. It truly is.
It's true. We try and keep it true to the original Dio format of the song, but of course nobody sings like Ronnie Dio, and it was cool because Frank didn't try to sing like Ronnie. Frank sang like Ronnie. Frank sang like Frank from Angel, and I sing like me. You know, I try and keep my. I hope I do, anyways. Have an original song and voice, and so we didn't try and, you know, sound like Ronnie or anything like that. We just wanted to do a justice of a great song by the best singer.
And you accomplished that. And you absolutely accomplished that. You know, you are a unique singer all on your own. You know, absolutely, as well as Frank Domino. So this version is just, you know, it truly is outstanding, and you guys should be very proud of it. And I think Jimmy would have been extremely pleased with it. Absolutely.
For sure.
You know,
he played his ass off on it. He did a great job, and you know, and my producer is a guy named Steve Major out of Toronto. He's really well respected, well known producer. He produced I got 4 solo albums out total, and he produced 3 of the 4 albums. And you know, he worked his ass off and did a great job making the song killer, as he always does. So
wow.
I just want to give Steve a little bit of props for that, because I do a lot of these interviews, and sometimes I forget to, you know, give proper due to people that really matter, and Steve's one of those guys that put a lot of heart and soul into my music.
Oh, absolutely. And if you could just let the listeners know, you know, this is your, so this would be, Insatiable would be your 4th or 5th solo album?
Insatiable is my 4th album.
Your 4th. Okay, and what are the, just to let the listeners know, that the title tracks of the first 3?
Well, the first one was just a self-titled EP. It's a 3-song album that I did in '91, and I did that with Phil Mello, who was in Talos, and Peter Criss, and he produced that one, and Paul Mangoni, who was in Coney Hatch. Those guys produced that album. It's a great album. It's a 3-song album. We actually did a video for one of the songs, Running Out Through the Night, that was on MTV a bunch of times, and was entered into a really cool contest. So what happened was they were doing unsigned bands, and we got submitted in this contest, and again, we ran up against like hundreds of videos, and we were selected to the final 2, and it was really cool because Kelly from Regis and Kelly, which is Kelly Ripa. Oh yeah, yeah. She was the VJ at the time, so you know, there she is, young. You know, we were all young, and she's on there talking about my music and stuff. It was really cool. And we went to the finals, and the final contest winning deal would have been a 2-album deal with Island Records, and getting to be an opening slot on the Aerosmith tour. So we were really excited. We thought we had a pretty good chance at getting that, you know. And we went up against the band Fuel, and the rest is history, right?
Wow.
So Fuel obviously won, and they went on to have a great career, and did a good job. But yeah, that was my first album, just a solo EP called Jim Crean. The second album is called Elegance, Excess, and Decadence. They came out in, I want to say, the first one was 91, this came out in 2004. Then in 2011, I did an album called Velvet Crush. And then, of course, in 2016, we did Insatiable.
Wow, okay, so there's quite some gaps in between the albums there. Now, you also are involved with a project called Hair Nation, which is a really cool, great tribute band that you tour. I guess, do you primarily stay within upstate New York where you are?
Yeah, but we've been everywhere. I mean, we played the Whiskey a Go-Go in Hollywood.
Oh, cool.
Twice. First time we opened for a band, and then the second, they liked us so much we came back as a headliner and we sold out the show. So we did that. We played there. We played all over Pennsylvania, mostly upstate though, mostly East Coast.
Now you just had a show last night, right?
Runs up and down to the city and back. So
I think
we're out of Buffalo, New York. So.
Yeah, you're way up there in Buffalo. Yeah, I'm down near Westchester County. So that's quite a ways. Are you starting to get nicer weather up there, or is it still kind of snowy?
It's funny you said that because we're having, as we look, I'm in my office right now looking out my window, and it's hail, freezing snow, and it's freezing outside. Now it's snowing.
Oh my gosh!
Impossible weather.
Oh man, we had a pretty nice day down here. It was like in the low 70s, and but tomorrow it's supposed to get back down in like the upper 40s. So
yeah, they're looking at power outages, and it's been all over the news. Power outages tonight.
Oh man.
So, yeah, we're the weather's great.
Having a hell of a spring, huh? Jeez. Oh, well, Buffalo, I guess you got to expect it,
we get a bad rap for that, though. I mean, yeah, the blizzard is 77, but, I say this, and now we're probably going to get a blizzard tonight, but we've been pretty lucky the last 4 or 5 years as far as winter goes. We've had really mild winters. I mean, we're close to Niagara Falls.
Yes.
So, we get that lake effect snow, but for the most part, we've been good. This winter was horrible. And you guys been getting killed. You guys got killed this winter, didn't you?
Yeah, just in the month of March, there were like 3 nor'easters almost back to back. Just boom, boom, boom. And, it had been a pretty mild winter up until that point, and then we just got nailed. But other places, I know PA got hit really hard this year, just several times. So I guess it just really depended on where you were. I mean, even some of the storms we had here was really town by town, like where I lived was maybe nothing, but when I got to work, there was a ton of snow. So it was weird, the way the weather was this winter.
We were in New York City twice. We were in Staten Island about a month ago. We opened up for Ace Frehley with the Apiece.
Oh, nice.
And, it was a great killer show. And the weather was so cold. I mean, it was impossibly cold out. You walked outside and I've never felt cold like that ever. It took your breath away.
Wow.
It was, and even in Buffalo, we never really got weather like that. When we were in Staten Island, it was unbelievably cold. We had the driver come pick us up literally at the door of the theater, and we walked out of the door and jumped into the car right away.
Oh my gosh. Well, we have Vic Rabowski in our chat room. He says he goes fishing every July up by Buffalo and Dunkirk.
Oh, yeah, that's not far at all. Awesome. Yeah, he's only about 45 minutes from me.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, we got a bunch of people, we got some comments in the chat room. And if you're out there listening, you guys, and you want to come into our chat room, definitely come on in and say hi, especially if you have a question for Jim. Definitely let me know in the chat room. If you go to our homepage, you'll see a chat room button at the top. You click on it, and you just have to create a username for yourself, whatever it is you want to call yourself, and a password, and that's all you got to do. Come on in. We would love to meet you. But yeah, so Vic he's a big fisherman, also a drummer. He's a musician as well. Lori in the chat room said that the tracks were excellent. And they're talking about merch. That people love, to get merch and come home with things. Absolutely. Getting Ian out in the UK. He says he has over 300 band t-shirts, loads of buttons, patches, CDs, posters, and on, and that's what we love, I myself am guilty of having an abundance of black t-shirts, over the years. I never get rid of any of that stuff, Absolutely not.
Going back to Ian from the UK, I mean, the UK is great when it comes to marketing, the packaging on the records. I mean, the record that we did in Japan, they did extra liner notes and sleeves, and it just came out really cool. I finally Ward Records out of Japan. But they really just do a great job with all that. You know, you can find really cool T-shirts in Europe and the UK and all that kind of stuff. So more so than you would here in the States. For some reason in the States, people don't care about that as much as they do in Europe, you know. And I never understood that, because if you look at my packaging on the Insatiable record, we got a booklet in there, and I have this really great artist called Ed Udniski out of Russia. He does all the Russian, like, Harlequin romance novels and stuff like that, and his artwork's unbelievable. And it's expensive to do it, but, you know, you look at it and you get lost in the album cover. You know, like the old days when we look at a Kiss album and you listen to music, it was always kind of cool looking at the liner notes in the album cover and listen to the record. And I think bands got away from that as of late. They're putting out albums with like a black cover. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. I always like the futuristic big album covers.
Yes, and for the listeners out there that may not know, the Insatiable album cover is really cool. It's got you, and you're wearing like a pair of jeans and this really cool leopard coat and a black scarf, black T-shirt, and you got, you know, lions on each side of you. It looks like you're standing on some kind of like a futuristic planet. We got the moon and sunrise, you know, the sun behind you. Really excellent artwork. And I love that your logo too for your name. That's a great logo.
Yeah, I did that. That picture was actually taken. We did a video for the song "Can't Find My Way." Me and Mike Tramp did it, and we filmed that. This is a cool story. We filmed that at you know where they did the final scene for the Planet of the Apes? It's called Point Dume Beach in Malibu, California.
Okay.
And the beach that they did the final scene was the Statue of Liberty is in the ground, and then Joseph Hudson jumps off the horse and says, "Oh, he finally did it, he blew it up."
Yes.
Well, that same scene, we filmed there. We filmed the video there.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And I'm on that mountain. That picture is, I'm on that mountain. And my fiance, Colleen, took a bunch of pictures. And it was in between shooting the video. She goes, "Hey, just let me get a couple pictures of you." So that we filmed me stand that we were looking at the mountain. That's the actual mountain from the Planet of the Apes. So that was, she just snapped a couple pictures for the hell of it. And then it came out so good, I said, "Oh, this is perfect." So I sent it over to Ed. And then he put all the futuristic stuff to it, but that was cool. So if you get a chance, go on YouTube and you can find the "Can't Find My Way" video with me and Mike Tramp. It's a really cool video.
Oh, very cool.
Put it together. It came out really good. So.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. But I love the artwork in this, the colors that are used, very vibrant, very eye-catching album cover, for sure. You know, it's one of those album covers where you would want to buy the album just based on the album cover?
You know, it's funny you said that. I got someone working on my new album for me, Jeff Dury, and he said, he goes, "I buy albums at stores. Not too many people do anymore, but I buy albums at stores based on the album cover." And he goes, "I just see if I can see a great album cover that catches my eye, I'll just go out and buy the album, whether it's good or not. And if it's good, well, then it's a huge bonus, right?" So, that being said, I'm the same way. If I see a really cool album cover, I'm going to give it a chance, you know?
Right, exactly. You know, that's how I first got turned on to Diamond Head. I saw the Borrowed Time album at a church tag sale of all things. And I loved the album cover, and I thought, oh, these guys have to be cool. You know, I had no idea who Diamond Head was at the time. I bought the album for like $2. I got home, put it on my turntable, and I was like, whoa, you know?
Great guys, too. I did a couple shows. You said Diamond Head, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I did a couple shows with them. They're really great guys.
Did you? Oh, awesome. You know, because they put out that new album recently, and, you know, they're still, you know, going strong. You know, you got to love it. Absolutely.
I love when the bands from, you know, our childhood still around. We're actually doing a show. I have a Jim Crean band, you know, that we do as well. And we're doing a show with a couple shows with Anvil. And those guys are still out there kicking ass, and that's really cool, right? You see these bands still going for it, you know?
Oh, absolutely. I always say to my friends, like, did we ever think back in like the mid 80s when we were in high school or whatever, that we would be listening to New Judas Priest in 2018? No, we would have laughed our asses off and been like, you're kidding, right? New Saxon, new Raven, new Armored Saint, it's just incredible. And they're putting out amazing releases, new Iron Maiden. It just astounds me on a daily basis. And that's just one of the great testaments and things that make heavy metal and hard rock just so amazing and such a great community to be a part of.
Well, it's cool that these guys are still around. That's the first step. And the
yes.
second step is cool people still buy the stuff,
Exactly. I wanted to give a shout out to Nessie. She's just joined us in the chat room. She's listening out in Queens, New York, hanging out today. What's going on, Nessie? So yeah, really good stuff. Well, what I want to get into right now, Jim, is get a little bit into you as a person, as a musician, how it came to be that you wanted to be a vocalist, or did you always want to be a vocalist, or did you start off by playing an instrument and were you formally taught or were you self-taught? Kind of wanted to touch on that for a little bit.
It's funny because for my communion, believe it or not, I think I was like 9 years old. When you make your first communion, you get everybody gives you money and stuff like that. Well, there's a mail order company here in New York called Brand Names, and they had a catalog, so you pick stuff out of the catalog and you order it, and then like a week later come in and go pick it up at the store. It was a weird concept, but that's how it was. It was kind of almost like it is now, when you order stuff online, you know what I mean?
Right.
Shipped to the store. So I guess it was way ahead of its time. So in this catalog it had a guitar, so I was always like, I want that guitar, but they were expensive, And for my communion money, my parents were super cool, because my dad was a drummer. So my dad was in a band, and they used to practice in my basement, so I get to see that all
cool.
the time,
So you came from a musical family, which is very cool, and you decided that really playing guitar wasn't for you, and the band really needed a singer, so you just started doing that. So you basically, did you end up having formal lessons, or just kind of went with it, based on your pure talent?
I just started going for it, and I was influenced by like Steven Tyler and Frank Domino, guys like that, Robin Zander. So, I just emulated myself, Brian Dio. I just emulated myself after that, and then just really developed my own style,
That's awesome. That's awesome. And how cool that you grew up in a musical family. What were some of your early musical influences? Like even prior to that, like things that you said your dad played in bands that played like a lot of classic rock. So you were introduced to classic rock. Was your mom into music like that as well?
No, my mom really wasn't at all. But my mom was just the best. I mean, she just was so supportive of anything I did. I played sports, and I played at a pretty high level in hockey.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Growing up, I played on all the travel hockey teams and football and all that stuff. And my mom was always like the team leader and
cool.
Team mom, coach mom, whatever you call it, team mom.
Was it ice hockey?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured growing up in the Buffalo area, it would have to be ice hockey.
Yeah, I started playing ice hockey when I was 4 years old, right?
Wow.
So,
born with a hockey stick in your hand.
I did that, and I just, my brother played hockey, and me and him, we played at a pretty high level, travel hockey, where we played all over. And back then, that was hard to do, because, it was expensive, And then I just started getting into music when and that just kind of took over everything.
Exactly. You found your true passion. So just out of curiosity, this band you formed when you were like 12, 13, what was the name of it?
I don't remember. We were horrible. I don't remember. We were silly. Just me and a bunch of kids from the neighborhood that said, no, I think I can play, and nobody could do anything. We just did it. But ironically enough, that was just a fun little starter thing with a bunch of kids from school. But I liked it so much that I actually pursued it at a much different level. Because by the time I was 15, I was already playing bars and just
Oh, wow.
And I advanced from that so much that, it was just kind of a starting point for me. And, like I said, by the time I was 15, I was in like ninth grade. I'd be playing at a bar. My mom would have to drive me to a bar. I'd play at a bar, and because back then the drinking age I think was 18.
Yes.
I was 18. Mm-hmm. So I was not legal enough to be in the bar or anything like that. Not that I cared about that, drinking and stuff like that. I just wanted to play. But I had to get permission from parents and stuff like that. So we played these bars, and the next day I'd have school. I had to be at school at like 7, 8 in the morning.
That's pretty wild, though. I mean,
and looking back at all this, I'm like, how the hell did my mom let me do all this stuff? How cool was she? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is a great supportive mom. Your mom rocks.
Yeah.
And what a great experience being that age to be playing in bars and clubs. That must have been pretty wild.
I hooked up with older guys. So I hooked up with the older guys, and they were already doing the bar thing. They were like, "Oh, I got this young kid singing, but he's good, and he's cool." And I looked cool at the time. I had the hair and all that. So I still look like that, but I wish I did. But I was all in shape and all that stuff, and doing my thing, and so it really worked well. They grew up there. Like I got this young kid and all up and coming kid, so it was a kind of cool thing. So by the time I was 18. Right out of high school, I went on the road with the band and played Canada for like 6 months and just toured the hell out of it. All over Vancouver and all over the place.
Oh, wow. And what was that band? Was that...
That band was called Black Star.
Black Star, okay.
They were a real well-known band here in Niagara Falls. And so they were a real highly touted band. We did it. My band I was in at the time opened up for them. And they saw me play. And after the show, they said, "Hey, look at... we got the summer tour. If you were looking for a singer, we want you. Can you come down?" I said, "Well, I'm still in high school." He said, "Well, what?" I said, "Yeah, I'm still in high school." I said, "Oh, okay, well, when's that end?" And ironically enough, it ended. The school ended the day before we had to go on the road. So I literally got done with school and jumped on 2 of us with these guys, and I was gone.
How crazy is that? Wow. That's pretty incredible.
So that's kind of, and then it was no turning back after that. Once you got a taste of that, being on the road like that, and making decent money, and things like that. It was in your blood at that point. Like a lot of my musician friends of my own age weren't doing anything like that. They were just playing the little bands, and they would be happy just to maybe get one gig a month, where I was playing every night of the week for 6 months straight. So.
Wow. That's incredible. What an exciting time. I mean, and a whirlwind, the way everything happened so fast, that's pretty incredible.
Looking back, though, I mean, I wish I would have just maybe pursued the dream and taken it out to California. I think because that was at the time when all the hair bands were just starting to come around. It was like 86 and 1986. I'm dating myself. 1986, and the bands really weren't out yet. Like none of these bands were breaking yet, and this is 2 or 3 years before Guns N' Roses, and before when Motley Crue was just getting out of the Sunset Strip and hitting the arenas. And so a lot of bands, there was a lot of activity happening in New York, in LA and New York, and bands were just getting signed. If you had long hair, you were getting signed.
Right.
And I probably should have moved to either the city or I should have went to California and gave it a go back then, because that's when everybody... Carmen said that to me one time. Carmen said to me, he goes, "Man, you should have, with a voice like yours, you should have went out to LA in the mid-'80s. I said, "Yeah, in hindsight, it's 2020. He goes, "Yeah."
Right.
We couldn't find guys like that. He had his King Cobra band they was putting together. Because we were auditioning guys, no one could hold a note. He goes, you got picked up by a band for sure and got signed." So,
absolutely.
That's the only regret I really have, that I really wish I wouldn't have went the route of traveling through Canada. That seemed like a longer road to get to where I needed to be than just going right to California and landing a big gig like that.
Just going for it. But things happen for a reason, and think of it this way too, Jim. You never would have probably met Colleen. So
that's definitely true. We talk
so
about
there you
that all
go.
the time. You're totally right. You're 100% right about that.
It's I mean, if you want to look at it that way, that's you try to justify kind of why you didn't go for it, and I am a true believer in things happen for a reason.
And my kids, I have two beautiful daughters that I love too. And,
well, there you go.
And Colleen and all that. So I'm very happy with how everything worked out. I'm playing with the two best drummers in the whole world, Vinny and Carmine.
Oh yeah, I mean,
every day I wake up saying, "Oh, this is really cool."
What a blessing! And how did you actually get hooked up with Carmine and Vinny? Like, how did that come to be?
Well, about 6 years ago, they were doing these drum wars things, tours or whatever, and they would go to different cities and get like different bands. So they'd get guitar players, bass players, and singers from every city. So every night they played, they never knew who they were going to get. They would rely on the agents to just kind of put together an all-star band for them. And it never really worked out like that for them. And they'd get there, and then sometimes the bands were good, but the singers weren't. Sometimes the singers were good, the bands weren't. It was never just a complete, happiness. And my agent, my agent boss, put together our all-star band here in Buffalo, and I was part of it. And when they came out to Buffalo, after we did the first show together, they said, "Well, you did a great job, and we got a bunch more shows if you're interested." So they ended up canceling the bands that they had on the rest of the tour, and or the singers anyways. And they asked me to do it full time, and of course it's been about 6 years ago already, so it's been great. And then we got, as the show got more pronounced and more organized, then we decided that pickup thing's not going to work. You just can't pick up people and expect there to be chemistry and all that. It just doesn't happen that way. And the more and more we started doing, because we did a bunch of them like that. We went to Montana, we went all over the place, and some of these bands just weren't musically prepared, I guess you want to call it. And so it was to the point where we were just, we said we got to get main players. So then we decided to go with Phil Sasson from Ozzy. He was our bass player for a while. He's in that last line with Vinny now. And T-Bone Anderson, who's from he's Government Mule and all that, so Planet of the Apps. We have that band on the West Coast. And then we have Jimmy Nardi from Artie Dillon from New York. Big New York guys. They're just monster players. Jimmy Caputo, who plays with Cactus, with Carmine, and Artie Dillon, who's just a monster guitar player. So those guys play with us on the East Coast. So, and then on the West Coast, we also use the Akaya sisters as well, who are just phenomenal players. They play with the drummer from Jane's Addiction. And actually, they're playing with Limp Bizkit right now. So they're in Japan with Limp Bizkit as band members. But so that's how that happened, and it's just been a great ride. I mean, I've met so many people in the industry. Vinny and Carmen are so respected that when we're out doing these shows, I mean, you never know who's going to be at the shows. Just big name producers and things like that. It's just been a great experience.
Oh, I can only imagine. I mean, that is a great story. What fun, man. Yeah, they really are very well respected, as they should be. I mean, they're great guys, phenomenal talent, the both of them. Just been a long-time fan. If you're a fan of this music and you don't know who Vinny and Carmine are, then, there's something wrong there. But
that's the funny part about it, because most people don't know who the bass players and drummers are in bands. They just really don't. They always know the guitar players and the singers, right?
The vote, right.
But these two made such a name for themselves that everybody knows who they are, because they have such an original sound amongst themselves. I mean, like, when I hear Vinny play, I know it's Vinny. When I hear Carmine play, I know it's Carmine. And it's not just because I played so many shows with them. You just know they have distinctive sounds. And they're very sought-after players,
Oh, for sure.
And just well respected. And they're just good guys, too, so that helps. All that, you throw all that in the mix, you got yourself a good chemistry right there. And we have tons of chemistry. They treat me like one of their brothers. We're really close.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Well, what I would like to do for everybody right now is play a couple of tracks from the Sinister album. that was released from the APPICE brothers. Yes. So I thought we would start it off with Danger, which is one of the tracks that you, of course, sing on. And I'm going to let you pick the second song because you do vocals on 4 tracks off of Sinister.
Yeah.
Correct?
Well, and definitely Danger is just a badass song.
Yeah, it is.
Very deep, very Dio sounding, just kick ass. And I personally like In the Night. That's another song that, I mean, it's the title track Sinister is cool too, and that Sabbath Mash is cool too. That's all the live thing we do. It's a mashup of Sabbath songs as we do it as an encore. But this song In the Night's a really cool too. It's got Bum. You were mentioning before early on the show, Ron Thal, which is Bumblefoot. He's on it with me. So.
Oh, great.
I think it's just a kick-ass song, so.
Vinnie and Carmine album called APPICE. And yeah, as we were saying earlier, if you're talking to Vinnie about the album, it would be a piece. If you're talking to Carmine about the album, it would be... No, and I said that wrong, and I knew I said that wrong as soon as I said it. That is so funny. Yeah, if you're talking to Vinnie, of course, it would be Appice, and Carmine, it would be a piece. So we're just going to call it APPICE. And I played for you Danger and In the Night, both with that feature Jim Crean on vocals. Amazing tracks, Jim. We're getting great response in the chat room. We have This Is a Kick-Ass Tune, good stuff. Really enjoying this interview with Jim. I'm totally rocking out to this music. Great music. Yeah, it's a lot of good responses going on in the chat room. And again, you guys, if you want to come into our chat room, definitely come on in. Everybody is welcome. Just click on the chat room button at the top of our homepage and create a username and a password. And that's all you got to do. If you have a question for Jim, let me know in the chat room. And one of the questions I have for you, Jim, do you have any pre-show rituals? Anything that you like to do before you go out on that stage?
Not at all. Just show up, hang out, and get ready to do it. That's it. I see a lot of guys try and warm up and do all that stuff. I never was into that. I never really understood it. You hear these guys doing all these vocal, things, and I just never got that. I just show up,
Just show up.
And go and play.
That's cool. So you tend to show up for a show a little bit beforehand and kind of hang out in the crowd, or?
Not in the crowd, no. Backstage, we're in the green room,
Sure, hanging out.
Put together the show in the green room, and, that's about it. That's really what we do. It's every season vets in this band. It's, it's another show.
Right, exactly. All right, very cool. Because some people just you just want to go right out there and do it. And other people have certain things that they need to do, or Now we were mentioning earlier, that you've played over in Europe and such. And is there one country that you would love to play someday that you haven't? That's always been kind of on your radar.
In Japan.
Japan. Yes.
I have record sales there, and I've been offered a few things to go out there. Just financially, it just didn't make much sense to do it.
Right. It's far away.
Japan would be really cool. I think it would be a good market for me to get my music out there.
Oh, absolutely. Japanese love heavy metal and hard rock. They really do.
They do, and they're just really appreciative, and they buy all the stuff. My last album called, my album in 2011, Velvet Crush, did decent in Japan. And then once we did Insatiable, it did really well. And, of course, the new album, Sinister, it was re-released at World Records in Japan, so it's doing really well. So, yeah, Japan would be really cool. There's a lot of places in Europe, and Italy would be great. So, there's a lot of places I would love to go, but Japan, it just seems like that's...
Absolutely.
I've never been there, so...
Now, do you have any, memorable or funny on-the-road stories that's happened over the years that come to mind immediately?
My God, there's so many.
I can imagine. But there's got to be a couple that are just like...
Probably a lot I can't share. I don't know, over the air, but... just being on the road is such a cool journey in itself,
True. Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things where, I just love meeting new people out on the road and then turning people on to, the music I'm trying to do. And that's really how you get a name for yourself, is just putting different cities. And that to me is well worth it in itself.
Oh, absolutely.
Now with this Facebook and all the social media and Twitter and all that, it's, in the years past, you play different cities, and that would be it, because there was really no social media. There was no way, even before, websites and stuff, so there was really no way for the band to really connect with you unless you put an album or whatever and they buy that. But nowadays with this Facebook, it's, I'll play a city. Hypothetically, Chicago, we played a really cool sold-out show in Chicago, big theater, and the next morning, that night, I had, 25 or 30 friend requests.
Wow. Yeah, Facebook's
huge. I got a lot of
huge.
likes on my fan page and stuff like that, so that's pretty cool, and that just shows you that people are listening, they're watching, and they're caring.
Exactly. With the advent of the internet, it is so different to, you can reach out to an audience worldwide, which is incredible. When you think back to the days of, putting flyers up in venues and, and getting things out in that way. And yes, my co-host over here, Amber, she agrees. If you happen to hear her, that's just her agreeing to what we're saying.
It's such a different world.
It is.
Good and bad.
Completely.
Social media really has disconnected a lot of people, and especially the youth of today is pretty well disconnected because they just sit on computers, but it also has connected a lot of people too. You said it earlier, your friend request, you and I were talking about how you got started, and opportunities like that with this Facebook and things like that, it connects you to people that you normally would not be connected to. And so it's kind of interesting how it really, the whole thing is changing. In all honesty, that helps promote your music. In all honesty, I wouldn't probably have a Facebook page if it wasn't for music. I just try and, keep it all about the music, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it helps immensely. It lets people know when you're playing, it lets people know where you're at. It makes it more exciting. It's just a great concept. I think it's brilliant, this Facebook.
Oh, it's a great resource. And you also have a regular website as well.
Yeah, I've had that for a long time, before Facebook and MySpace and all that stuff. I always had this website, and it's helped a lot. It's funny now, I just got 3 friend requests here right now as we're speaking. Probably people listening to the show, so that's cool.
Oh, excellent.
That shows how this thing really works. But, my website's Crean, that's CREAN.net. Real simple.
Excellent.
You can get all my music on there, videos, t-shirts, everything you can think of is on there.
Very cool. Now, that's definitely one of the changes that we've seen, over the music industry over the years, is definitely the advent of the internet and social media sites such as Facebook. Do you see any other changes or differences in the music industry from when you first started up until now?
Oh, yeah, night and day. It's, when you first started, you couldn't really get, when I first started anyways, you really didn't, you didn't get, you really didn't get connected with the fans like you can now. Nowadays you can really, you get to meet the artists, which is a cool thing, and you get to have friendships with them, really. That's kind of what happens through all this. And that wasn't like that back in the early days. It was a lot different. And the music scene in general has just been, it's really went down compared to what it was like, even 15 years ago. You were talking about Hair Nation before. I formed that band 18 years ago.
Wow.
That band's been on 18 years already. Can you believe that? And it started off as a whim. It was just a little idea to throw together and do a couple of the 80s songs, and just have fun with it. Because at the time, I was just writing originals and doing things like that, but there wasn't a lot of places to play. The music changed so much, where the grunge thing happened, then the 2000 type music happened, and really, I didn't really find a place with either of it. To be honest, I couldn't connect to either style of music. And then I said, you know what, let's kind of do what everybody else was doing and revisit the 80s music. So that's how the Hair Nation formed. And here we are 18 years later, we gained a huge following for it. I've won a bunch of local music awards, and we got inducted in the Hall of Fame with that as well. So it was just been really wild.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's a very active band as well, Hair Nation.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you have tons of dates, coming up in the rest of April. You have a bunch of dates in May and June, going into July, up through September. So that's great,
Yeah, that band is constantly working. I turned down dates, actually. We get offered to jump on tours and stuff like that, and I turn it down. I mean, I got to keep my schedule, clean for the Peace Brothers. And then I'm also doing a super group. It hasn't really been officially announced yet, but I'll do it now. Why not?
Oh, wow.
It's a band called Held Hostage, and I'm going to be singing with that. They're doing an album, and it features members of the band The Rods. It's got Carl Kennedy from The Rods on drums.
Excellent.
It's got former members from Quiet Riot and the band Riot, and what's his name, G. Snyder's old band Widowmaker. So it's going to be kind of a super group, I guess you want to call it. And that's coming out. We're doing a tour with Ross the Boss from what was he, Manowar?
Yep. Wow.
And then we're going out with Willie John Roth from Scorpions.
Very cool. Well, I thank you for announcing this on my show today, Jim. That's awesome.
I'm going to have the lawyer contacting me by the end of the day. Why did you announce it?
No, that's a great lineup. Definitely looking
cool
forward to
lineup.
that.
I don't know if I'm allowed to announce everybody, but I know Carl Kennedy's involved. He's a big name in the industry too. So
Sure, absolutely. The Rods rock.
The Rods are great, man. That's Ryan James Dio's cousin's band.
Oh, really?
Yeah, David Rock Finstein is Ryan James Dio's cousin.
I didn't know that.
And he was in the Rods. So,
wow. Yeah, like Lori said in the chat room, breaking news.
Yeah, so it's weird. Like the whole Dio camp, I'm so connected with because I played with Vinny, Jimmy, Roland Robertson. I mean, all these guys.
Wow.
When Dio's, helped do some stuff for the Peace Brothers. If you look at the liner notes, there's a bunch of great pictures in there of Ronnie, and the album was dedicated to Ronnie. We got Wendy's permission to use his likeliness in our video, and so the whole Dio thing's been just a great experience for me.
That is very cool. And the name of this project again is going to be?
That's called Held Hostage.
Held Hostage. You've heard it here first, you guys. That's going to be great.
Yeah. If you follow my career, you'll be hearing about it. But we're just in the negotiation stages right now. My agent is John Pettigrass, and he's actually working on all the details for me right now to make sure it's a good deal.
Right.
I'm sure it's going to be. And I'm looking forward to doing some shows with that, with Hair Nation, and of course with the Peace Brothers and my solo stuff too.
Wow. You are such an incredibly busy human being, Jim. You really are.
Listen, my thoughts are you have to be in it. You have to keep doing it. I mean, you can't do it. If you're going to do it, you have to do it all the way. You can't just do it partially. You can't just, fake it. You really have to do it. And that's the only way to do it. If you don't do it that way, then my thoughts are, you're not really dedicated to it.
Right, exactly, and you are extremely dedicated. That shines through with everything that you're involved in. I mean, that's just incredible, Jim. It really is. I admire that. And as we were saying earlier, it's because it's your true passion. It's what you love to do. Getting out on that stage and singing for a crowd has to be such an incredible experience. I always say, being a fan in the crowd and feeding off the band and in turn the band feeding off the crowd, there's nothing like it. And it's not an experience that you can get from watching a YouTube video. I mean, YouTube videos are great. I love YouTube. But you have to be there live and feel the vocals go through you, feel the bass, resounding through your body, feel those guitars ripping, the drums pounding, feel the floor moving, just being in the crowd and the vibe. There's nothing quite like it. Live shows just rule. They really do.
You see, nowadays, we talk about this all the time, but nowadays people jam the cameras in your face while you're playing, and everybody has a camera on their phone now, it's, and everywhere you go, you're being videotaped and you're being scrutinized and all that stuff, which is cool. A lot of guys hate it. I don't mind it, A lot of guys, get upset and they'd rather have you not have the cameras on them and just sit and watch the show. I get it. I get both aspects of it because it's cool to take that experience home with you and then you have it forever, especially when you're at that show and you're just really feeling the music and it's a great thing and you think, oh shit, I should capture. I'm sorry, I swore, but
that's okay.
You should capture. In your head, you think, oh, I should be capturing this because I'd want this down the road. So then you pull up the camera and you start, filming the whole time. And I do get the fact that when the video camera's on, the artist, it is distracting because you're not really paying attention anymore. Now you're just focusing on the video, make sure it's working. So you lose that sense of enjoyment. But I do get why people do it because they want to take it home with them. They want to, the next day, wake up and go, what a great night I had. I want to rewatch it and revisit it right now.
Right,
so
exactly.
I get both sides of that. I really do. And it's good for the tours because when there's a lot of video footage out there and pictures and stuff like that after the show, and you go on Facebook and the whole news feed is your show.
Right.
That's a cool thing.
Oh, I can imagine.
That happens a lot with the Hair Nation thing. I go on Facebook or whatever, and the whole news feed is just loaded with the show. And I think to myself, well, that's kind of a good thing because it just keeps people in the interest and in the know, So I'm torn between that. I get it from the artist's view where it is annoying when someone's got a camera jammed in your face. I get it from the guy standing behind you in the audience. You got the camera up in the singer's face and you're blocking them. I get all that. But I also get why people do it because it's cool to have that memory. I mean, how great would that be if they had video cameras and stuff like that in the 70s? How great would it be to have like the whole Aerosmith Rocks tour on video?
Right?
Awesome.
Wow. Yeah. That would be incredible.
Like you said, oh man, every show from the Aerosmith 77, whatever, Draw the Line tour on video. It'd be unbelievable.
That would truly be incredible for sure. It's
I get it. So I'm torn between that whole topic, and I've had this discussion with other musicians. Like, no, I hate it. I hate when the phone's jammed in my face and I'm trying to sing. And I said, yeah, I hate it too. But in the same aspect, I get it, and I like it for the fact that two things happen. It keeps me honest because I got to try harder because now there's a video on me, right?
Right.
And you don't have to be. You got to really think about the notes you're using. As opposed to being sloppy and saying, no, remember, because when you're at the show, you being a fan, I'm sure you've been at shows where you go, man, they sounded great. And then you get home and you see the video and you go, oh my God, they were horrible. But when you're at the show, you're not thinking that, you're just feeling what's going on, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly. You're caught up in the moment of being there, for sure. I can see where you would be torn on that topic. But it is exposure. And like you said, you see your news feed, just influx of things and, and that's a great feeling, because it gets you exposure and with all the sharing capabilities, that Facebook has, it's incredible how quickly things go around, and the speed of it.
I'll give a shout out to Brad Toss. Just put a post up. Thanks for the ad. Great interview. Great tunes. Thanks, Brad Toss. Thanks for listening, buddy.
Yes, Brad is our Thursday night DJ here. He is one of the station owners.
All right.
Yeah, he has a show on Thursday nights called Mad Brad's Metal Mayhem, and it's very cool. Yeah.
On that show, too. We'll have to do a show with Brad.
Yeah, definitely. We have great DJs here every night of the week, and everybody offers their own flavor. It's a great family here at Sonic Asylum Radio. I'm very blessed to be a part of it with such great people and listeners and the fans and people that come in and hang out and chat. It's a lot of fun, and to be able to bring some music to people that may not be familiar with it, that's an awesome feeling to be able to share. Because, like me, I always say I love expanding my heavy metal head, on a daily basis. We were saying earlier, one of my favorite quotes in the world is, a day without music is a day wasted. And it's so true. I don't know who said that. I forget. But it's so true. Every day we need music, like the Who said, long live rock. We need it every day.
That is true.
And the fact that we have so many amazing musicians out there as yourself that are keeping it alive, that's a great feeling for us as a community. It may be an underground community, and sometimes we like it that way, but, it's strong and it's vibrant and it's alive. And it's a great feeling. It really is. Which kind of brings me to my next question. Do you have what would your advice be to a beginner coming up in this business? A young kid, let's say he's like 15, 16, the same way you were, and he wants to be a vocalist in a band. What would be your advice to him?
Well, it'd be simple. You have to believe in what you're doing. You have to believe in yourself when others won't. You're going to get a lot of flack for it. Because it's a tough industry to break, impossible industry to break. If you're shooting for the stars, which you have to do when you start becoming a musician, you have to shoot for the stars. Your Rolling Stones level or whatever, Elton John or the Beatles or something like that. That's where you're shooting for. But if you find yourself somewhere in the middle, well, that's not a bad thing. But you have to believe in what you're doing. And you have to, at all times, never fake it. And that's the best advice I was given, and I've lived by that advice, and it's gotten me through some, pretty tough times. Because let's face it, some shows are going to be phenomenal, some shows just aren't. But you have to just keep plugging forward. And, there's a lot of opportunity out there, and when things don't always go your way, you got one or two things. You can throw in the towel, or you can just keep pushing forward. That's kind of what I've done my whole career.
That is great advice. Thank you for that, Jim. I appreciate that. That's a good starting point for, somebody that may be out there listening that wants to break in, that has that passion and that drive. You got to keep just plugging away at it, and that's it. Never give up. You never give up. It doesn't matter.
One last thing I do want to tell you guys about, I am doing a new record, just so you know, and I have this amazing French guitar player that I'm working with. His name's Stefan, out of France, and he played with Paul Dino from Iron Maiden. He was in Paul Dino's solo band. He also played with what's his name, Chris Holmes from Wasp. So he's doing all the guitar work on my record, and all the brilliant musician, keyboards, all that stuff. And I'm gonna have a lot of big name players on this album as well. Vinny Appice, he's already done some tracks for me. I have Chris Holmes from Wasp on it. Chris Tristram from he was in Jack Russell's Great White. Now he's doing a bunch of stuff. And Robbie Rockner from Great White. So I got a lot of great musicians going to be on this new record, and so stay tuned for that. I think the songs are really kick ass, and I think it's going to be a really good follow up to Insatiable.
Ooh, getting excited already. Absolutely. I will definitely
get a copy of it so you can play it.
Oh, absolutely, Jim. I would love that, for sure. Now, are you looking at any kind of a release time later this year or 2019 release?
I definitely would like to have it all recorded within the next couple of months. We're in the recording stage right now.
Okay.
We've already demoed everything out. Now it's just a matter of getting everybody together and putting their parts together. So I to have everything recorded within the next couple of months, and I would like a summer release.
Oh, excellent. That's great news for all the fans out there. Absolutely. Good stuff. Now, I do have one kind of off-the-wall question that I like to ask. What is your, or who, actually, I should say, who is your favorite cartoon character?
That's a weird question. I didn't think about that. Cartoon character.
I can be a little weird, so...
No, that's cool. That's a cool question. Cartoon character, I don't know. Maybe the Flintstones, I don't know.
Like when you were a kid, you know, what was your favorite cartoon to watch? Saturday morning cartoons, or...
Oh. Well, I liked a lot of those Sid and Marty Krofft stuff. I don't know if that was considered cartoon.
Nice, okay.
Sid and the Sea Monster.
Yes.
I loved H.L. Puffin stuff and all that kind of psychedelic, 60s, 70s cartoons, I guess it would be called. And I guess the Star Trek cartoon was my favorite. That'd be a good answer.
Oh,
Star
okay.
Trek cartoon, the original series Star Trek cartoon was by far the coolest.
Yeah, I love Sid and Marty Krofft. I actually have, it's on VHS tape, but it was a something, I think VH1 was doing it, or Comedy Central, one of the two. It was like a 7-hour thing they called Puffapalooza, and it featured like all, Sigmund and the Sea Monsters and H.R. and Puffin stuff, and, all the episodes and stuff. It was a lot of fun. We had great... cartoons back then, and I'm convinced a lot of the shows that came out in the 70s, that all the writers were getting high. I'm sure they were, it was just too trippy and too crazy. But it's cartoons that will ever be around, which is great.
Well, you watch those Scooby-Doos, and you can't tell me those guys weren't stoned on when they were making those things. Scooby-Doo is pretty bizarre.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo.
But yeah, those were great. I mean, those were great times, great memories as a kid. Even you watch shows like SpongeBob SquarePants, because my kids, when they were little, they used to watch that one, and it took you right back to that same feeling. Like, man, what are these writers on? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, SpongeBob is pretty out there, for sure.
What's wrong with these writers? Or maybe you're right with them. I don't know, one of the two things, but.
Well, even now, my sister Lori said in the chat room, Lidsville. Yeah, Lidsville was pretty trippy.
My Sid Marty Krofft and H.R. Puffin stuff. I mean, what the title itself was, tells you what's going on.
I mean, it was great. You had your Saturday mornings with your cartoons, and then we had American Bandstand came on, and there was always somebody cool on there, and Soul Train, and then maybe went outside and just played. It was a great time back then.
It was interesting, that's for sure.
No cares in the world.
We didn't know what that was about. We just thought, this is kind of different.
Exactly. And when you become an adult of sorts, you watch these cartoons and you're like, wow, they were really made more for adults than they were for kids,
Oh, there's no doubt about it. You watch these cartoons now and you go, if those then, you watch them from then, they were all about, just wackiness. But it was cool.
Yeah. I mean, you use the word wacky, thinking of Wacky Races, what a crazy half hour that was,
Yeah.
Just...
all that kind of stuff was wild. Hong Kong Phooey and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah, Hong Kong Phooey, yeah. Well, one of my favorite cartoon characters now is Cartman. I think...
Oh, yeah, well, they took it one step further with Family Guy and all that. You're totally right. Now it's just sky's the limit. I mean, American Dad and Family Guy just off the hook. I mean, that's a complete adult cartoon,
Oh, I love it, and it's so politically incorrect, and I'm all for that. There's always a fine line between being politically correct and being respectful. But South Park just really, when they first came out, I remember watching the very first episode and was like, what did I just watch? Was immediately hooked. Yeah, exactly. But even looking back to, the Looney Tunes, some of the stuff that went on in those cartoons, they're such an integral part, and it's something that they're always there for us, and because I think it's so important to keep your inner child alive. And watching cartoons as an adult, it definitely helps in that regard. I could see myself being in my 70s and still watching a cartoon here and there. Why not?
Yeah.
This adulting thing is too overrated sometimes. So it really is. Well, what I would like to do, Jim, we're gonna, having you on my show today has been so much fun.
Thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
Oh, so interesting. You're an amazing vocalist. You've had such a great, amazing career, spanning over 3 decades. Worked with some incredible people along the way, and you continue to work with incredible people. Just really brilliant, Jim. That this has been great. Now, I want to play some more tracks for people. As we kind of exit the interview, I want to play some more tracks from Insatiable, and some more tracks from Sinister, to kind of lead everybody out with. And one of the things that we do here at Sonic Asylum is we have a band page on our Facebook Sonic Asylum page, and we're definitely going to get you added to that. And basically, it's, people are looking through there and seeing what it's about. It'll be linked right to your Facebook page, so people can further check you out, and you continue doing what you're doing. And again, how can people reach you on social media?
How can they?
Yes.
Just Jim Crean on Facebook, Crean, and then I have a music page on there, and then of course JimCrean.net. That's the official website. And then I'm on Twitter too. I don't know how to really do Twitter too well. I have someone doing that for me, but and then there's that Twitter too. You can find it on there, but mostly Facebook. That's where we put up a lot of cool stuff.
That's the bulk of it. Yeah, I just linked your Facebook page again in our chat room. So definitely check it out, you guys, and give the page a like. You can keep up to date of everything that's going on with Jim Crean, which is a lot. That's awesome. Keep going. And if I can get a chance to get out to a show and see you soon, I definitely will. I see May 2nd you have the show coming up with Anvil. That's going to be up in Buffalo. That's awesome. A lot of shows going on with Hair Nation. And do you have any other upcoming shows with Vinny and Carmine coming up?
No, we have stuff that's not, we're just planning a tour in November, December-ish. We'll be back up then.
Oh, great. Okay.
We all have pretty busy summer schedules, and all the summer stuff's booked already. So, but yeah, as they come up, I make sure I post them and keep everybody well informed. So, if you want to go to HairNationBand.net is the Hair Nation site, and JimCrean.net is my site. So it's all up on there.
Excellent, and we look forward to the upcoming album that you look to have released this summer, which will be great. Got a lot of great musicians joining you once again, so it should prove to be another incredible release for sure. And there you have it. Is there anything else that you want to say to everybody else out there listening today, Jim?
Just thanks for taking the time to giving my music a chance. That's what it's all about, giving it a chance.
Absolutely. All right, you take care, and we will talk soon. And here we go, everybody. This is Can't Find My Way. And we're hanging out, Metal Euphoria, SonicAsylumRadio.com.